welcome to Laffy Monkey Music Show too, and Emily Highfield. How are you?
Hi, Sean. Very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Emily is the vocalist and guitarist of Suldusk. How is this? I guess I want to say I'm really digging a project, our album, the group. I hadn't heard it before, so it's kind of exciting to hear a new album and then go back and hear the first one. So it's kind of neat to hear the growth and the changes. Um,
Yeah,
but for people that aren't initiated, what style of music would you say this? I don't want to put the label out there. It's kind of help me.
I'd say the source or the core sound is dark folk, and then it's infused with elements of other sort of darker subgenres like atmospheric black metal, touch of European doom, a little bit of post rock, post metal, kind of shimmering guitars,
Okay.
tremolo picking. So there's a little bit of everything. So I can't say it's dark folk because there's blast beats
Well, that's what I'm
throughout
saying.
the album.
I read the write about it. I'm like, I don't know if I could even call it that because it feels like it has a lot of stuff in there. You know, when you first hear it, you
Yeah,
can
it
label
is.
easy, but you really have to listen to it. There's so much more.
I think it's richer for it, for being able to put other elements that myself and the other musicians enjoy. So I think it's for me, it's always I have to make music that I would listen to, I would find interesting, and having layers of different elements is kind of paramount. So yeah,
It, so I guess what's really interesting is like a band like this, you really wouldn't be the kind of band would like I could be wrong, like go to a club and play like originals, your music, and then do like other covers. It feels like this band has a sound that stays with the songs, and it's just you know what I mean? Because you don't sound like anything else. Like you can just pop off and know they're you know what I mean or somebody else because you have such a um not just honest sound. You have your own sound, and I don't know. I don't hear you guys doing other like other stuff. I feel it's like it's you are what you are, and those are your songs, and that's it. Am I?
yeah, it's eclectic, that's for sure.
Yeah,
It's not for like people say, I write metalcore, gent, whatever style of metal. They stay in their lane, they do their own thing. I think with this, it's kind of been or organic kind of process where it was just acoustic, and then you can run, but you can't hide. If you're a metalhead, people say, "Oh, it's just a phase."
yeah.
No, for some of us, it's an experience of life, and it's a filter we experience life from. It's being able to tap into that more kind of aggressive side of things, or aggressive release, I should say, and being able to do harsh vocals and do blast beats, and then go into a, like a soothing acoustic passage.
Yes.
It's something that is ebb and flow, and yeah, it's definitely eclectic. So yeah,
It
I
is,
agree
but
with.
you do it well though, and it's like the haunting melodies when it goes to like that really atmospheric stuff. It's like it's so beautiful. Like I feel like it could be like almost like a soundtrack to some of these big, lush Hollywood films. Like it's just so beautiful, like but very emotional with like a dark underbelly to it. You know what I mean? And then also like when you go heavy, you go heavy. Like you're not just like dialing it in. So it's kind of like when you do well, and you really put it out there. So it's I don't really hear a lot of stuff like that right now. So you know when I first heard it, I was very surprised. You know,
That's good. I think that's a good reaction,
yeah.
because I don't want it to be too predictable. But I mean, I'm not consciously going, let's surprise everyone, but let's just go, let's serve the song. Where does the song want to go? What feels
How does that
natural
happen
here?
though? Like when you write a song, now, like actually I say serve the song is one of my favorite things to say in the show. But like I know how
Oh,
you people like write a lot of songs. You know, you sit down with your guitar or whatever. But the sound that you guys make, like, how are you coming up with the music? Like, is it the music and then the ideas of where to go with it, or is it just pieces of music you have and you think they fit together? Like, how is the process
I
for that? I mean, those are
the
pretty
the
interesting
first
songs.
album, the first album was just myself. I just had like a swag of songs that I took to a producer, and I said, let's fill these out. But the structures were already there, and it
Yeah.
was music came first, and it just that one wasn't. I wasn't very conscious of what was happening. It was very stream of consciousness, I guess. So you
Hmm.
just kind of noodle around and oh, this feels right to go here in this
Okay.
direction with the chords. And with the second album, with the one that's about to come out, it was collaborating with others was really helpful because my abilities are not as extensive. So being able to draw on other composers, my two fellow composers, was really fantastic because I said I'm really feeling like a heavy section here. Like
Hmm.
let's noodle around and see what unfolds. And so that's how it, and then there's a little bit of an editing process because we'll go somewhere and then we'll revisit it, have a listen the next day, and yeah,
Hmm.
that's not quite. I'm sure we can do something a bit more uh, um, natural, a bit more. Um, I don't know, something a little bit more something. But editing is something that, especially Shane Mulholland, who's the other composer, main composer, he's
Hmm.
very good at doing that. Whereas I'd be like, oh no, that works. And he'd be like, no, 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 I reckon we can do. So he sort of pushed the process a little bit. So that was great. It was good. It was frustrating at the start because I was used to working on my own. But then once I got into the flow of working with others, it was really wonderful. So yeah.
Did you pull like the band? Was it like people you knew, or they were they? How'd you get everybody together? Because finding the right band members is kind of a challenge. Like one of the hardest things you can do in music is
It is.
finding the right people and then keeping together happy. You know what I mean? It's like the hardest thing to do.
Sean, I make no bones about this is a benevolent dictatorship, basically. So I make no bones about that.
Okay.
It's pretty much it was my project. I didn't want to have other people involved with Lunar
Hmm.
Falls, the first album. I was like, I'll get the producer involved and I'll get some session musicians in, but I really don't want the band because I've done bands. I've done bands in my 20s and I just it's very difficult. It's
Yes.
difficult. With this one, there's definitely an agreement, and it's overt that I make the executive decisions, and everyone's okay with that. They know, and and so I will consult,
Right.
and I definitely value everyone's opinions about, I guess, the more businessy side of things, which is an unfortunate aspect of music. You have to have that side of
Well,
things.
it is music business. It's not music fun.
It's
You know.
yeah, exactly right.
You know.
They get to do the fun stuff, and I do the other stuff.
Grown up stuff. Yeah.
But but it is. I basically saw a few musicians here in Melbourne who were just around for a long time and very very good, and never really got to play the bigger stages here, and never really got to be on some recording. And then I was lucky enough, they were agreeable, and I had the violinist was actually approaching me, can I please join? And I'm like, this is like a dream come true, classically trained um, musician of that
Yeah.
caliber. All of them are like up here. I'm not musically trained. Everything's just been for me. I've learnt myself, and
Hmm.
so to work with people who are very proficient in their instrument and very musical and very dedicated and reliable. It's like, what
I
is
do want to say,
happening?
I do want to say one thing though. I don't mean to step on you, but the people that are listening, because the album's coming out, I have it like March. Was it March 1st? I think I'm so bad. But it's
Yes.
really good. So anyway, you can sing so good, and your guitar playing. You are a good musician. I don't make it sound like you're not. You really are. It's a beautiful album, top to bottom. So just want to put that out there that you handle your own pretty well. So it's not about that. I just think like, you can be modest, but I'm like you got it going on. Um, Actually, so big. What is it like 10:30 for you right now? What time is it for you? Like,
It's 10:41.
10:41. So yes, yeah, 6:41 for me. Okay. Whenever I interview anybody in Australia, it's always got to be like either my nighttime or their 10 or my 10, and we always have to like balance it around, you know, to get it straight. It was
Yes,
a challenge.
it's pretty early. It's pretty early here, but yeah, I get up pretty early. I'm a morning person. My band always laugh because I'm not a big late night person, and a lot of shows are late.
Yes.
Um, so yeah.
But it's changed. A lot of artists get up early, they get business, they get the business, they get the emails going. It's a different world for music. I talk to more musicians that are kind of up doing their things, checking their emails, running it themselves. It's not the same as, you stay up all night, you play your music, you get wasted, and then you like let your manager take all your money while you're sleeping and you think you're getting something else. Like it's taking care of
Yes,
business. It's a different world. And that's how you get more
it
gigs.
is.
And it's good. I mean, and I think we've learned that also taking care of your voice, it's going to benefit you in the long run. You can do this for a long time if you take care of your voice. You know, you don't want to blow it out. It's
Most
it's your
definite,
tool.
most definite. And I think that's why I'm keen to tour because I am very disciplined with stuff like that. And I know in preparation for it, we had a big show last weekend or weekend before, and just like it is, you have to be a little bit like an athlete, especially if you
Mhm.
want to be able to use your voice as an instrument. And I click into from the cleans into the harshes and then the more projected, and you got to practice. It's a discipline, and you have to be disciplined about your health. And yeah, I'm drinking tea during the day
Yeah,
before a gig and not talking too much, and then you have to do a cool down afterwards. And it's like
yeah.
an athlete, really.
But
So
it's all important stuff. It's all very important stuff to take care of yourself to last it. I'm gonna say with the two things is I can't even imagine. I talked to so many different people from Australia or Melbourne area, so many different types of artists. Like I don't even what is the music scene there like? I don't even know at this point because it feels like I talked to like one of every type of artists from that area. Like it feels like it's all the music that is from. It feels very eclectic that I've talked to. Is it really like that
yeah,
there?
there's all sorts of music here. It's like Melbourne's a music capital
Well, I mean, like
of
it's like no,
Australia.
nowhere, nothing. Like I'm not like singing it's like Mad Max or anything. It's like some kind of back in the day when things one sided. I think like is there like a strong type of music scene there? Like it's a heavy scene. It's mostly country music. Like I've had so many different artists on that are blues and country, and I'm like I wasn't expecting that. And then and of course Angry Anderson comes on quite frequently. You know, so there's all different types of music. And then this is something
Yeah,
I don't even know how to quantify this. This is a fun surprise for me. You know.
it's massive here, massive, and also all indie kind of rock, um, pop, R&B stuff. There's metalcore. There's um, black metal. There's
Yeah.
there's everything. So
Hadn't I
it's
had R&B from Australia yet? Yeah, that's I've had I've
pretty
yet to have that.
cheese. It's pretty
Yeah,
cheese. It's very try hard.
yeah.
I mean, you can't beat US R&B. So
No,
yeah.
it depends on the genre. I do want to say I want people to listen to the album, like of course after the interview, when it goes up, the links will be for people to go to check it out. When you listen to this album, I do want to say, in fairness, because you hear an album, most people are like, I want to hear a single, I want the songs to flow, and you really, this album is not like you're looking for like singles. It's really with like most albums like it's a solid piece. It's a commitment. I think to me it's a fun beginning to end type of thing, which I favor that have music a lot in the show. Um, you really just listen to it a few times and really listen to it, um, because there's so much to it, and each time you go, oh, I get it more. I think there's some people that aren't used to this type of music are gonna be like, I don't get this, or I like to slow and it gets heavy. I can't, I don't know where I'm going with this because not used to it. And I think in all fairness, I want people to listen to it a bunch of times like I did. And, it will grow on you in a way that you're like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I didn't, and that's pretty exciting of the fan of music. But you gotta be open minded when you hear this stuff. It's a little bit different than just your cookie cutter, rock and roll songs.
Totally. I think it was difficult to the label wanted us to release three singles before we
Hmm.
released the album. And so we're going, well, what's the best representation? Because every cut is very
Yeah,
unique, but as a whole, it's cohesive. And what we do we want to represent the sound? So I kind of went, let's just start with Anthesis, which was very much a signifier of Lunar Falls was quite a acoustic based, but Anthesis is sort of like a statement song for me because it's basically saying we've gone heavier because
hmm
I didn't go heavy with the last album, but there were flourishes of heaviness. And I wanted to just sort of be a bit more intense with the intro to the next album. And it put a lot of the Suldusk fans that were expecting acoustic thing first
yeah,
were a bit taken aback. So I had a few comments saying, "Oh, it's a bit hectic for me," or too, yeah, it's a bit too full
it
on.
does. It actually hectic is a good word. That's how I thought when I first started. I'm like, I'm like, I hear a bunch of different things going on. Each one's really well, but I can't. I feel like I get into one and then it goes to the other. Like it's not almost like jarring in a way. And I'm like, all right, well, clearly I need to listen to this more time because you just can't just um, understand everything all at once. You just can't. It takes a while to learn anything in life. I think we forget that. So, and that's why it's important. People, you listen to it a few times, you will get used to it. You'll understand
Yes,
it. It's definitely a grow on you album. And I think I only say it because I don't want people to sell themselves short or sell this album short. It's important to invest. I also think
yeah,
going heavy in it, going heavy. You already have a reputation for having a softer, so definitely having something heavier coming out. Otherwise, everyone would have thought just another soft album, and the heavy fans you wouldn't have had. So at least you kind of have a bit of a mixture, like coming out heavy at least a little bit. You know,
well, definitely. I think that it's introduced the first single introduced us to a new audience, and I've had so many comments saying this is full on. This is wow, okay. And then they'll go back into Lunar Falls and they'll go, oh, that's a lot more mellow. But the album overall has got, yeah, it just twists and turns a little bit. And it's definitely not all heavy or all acoustic. It's a blend of everything that just makes the sound for us exciting. So yeah, the third single is which is coming out next week is Mythical Creatures, which is very
okay.
acoustic and folk
Mhm.
influence. Yeah, and that's something that I know I know a few of the fans have been kind of going, when's the acoustic stuff coming? They
Oh
want
yeah,
to be
because
soothed.
yeah,
They want to be soothed. They want to be and I get that, because it's great to be epic and it's great to be hard hitting, but I think as the album kind of represents that it's you want it. That was my cat. um, yeah, you just want something that's going to be a little bit more broad emotionally, not just you know, um, expressing only a few emotions, but a little bit more varied, a little bit more intricate. So yeah,
I think your initial market coming out. I mean, I think it's good. I think this kind of your kind of group's going to be able to build your audience like maybe not be as fast to build as some bands like come out at the gate, but I think it's going to build to the point where it's such a loyal fan base because it's going to build slowly with a good foundation that like it's going to like last. I feel like it's that kind of like per albums are going to be like once you have them, they have them like for life because they're going to get it. I don't think it's like
it's
it's not disposable
yes,
music is what I'm trying to say. I guess yeah, they figured out my head out
I
loud.
have noticed that. Definitely. There's an element. I think when the first single came out and a few people were waiting for another acoustic and there was a little bit of what's the word? Possessiveness. It was like,
Hmm.
oh, I thought you were going to go down a different sound. Oh, like there's ownership of it,
Yep,
of the project, which means that they're invested in it
yep,
emotionally. They want that that outlet. They're keen, they're passionate, and
yeah.
that's so lovely. And they will be rewarded. The third album, which we're writing at the moment, is definitely more acoustic again, but there's still heavy elements, but heavy elements that are going to be great to play live because a lot of the heavier stuff on Anthesis is quite intricate still. There's a lot of trem picking and performing it is you have to be on point. And I wanted to write more kind of chug chug sounded, metal, which is a
Yeah.
little bit more chill, a little bit more chill, and allows people to just headbang, go into that flow state. And yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to be writing the third album because the second one, it's just taken such a long time to get it
It's
released. These are
yeah.
old songs for me. They're old songs.
I
I want to get onto the new stuff now. So
it's funny whenever I talk to an artist, I'm like a couple things. Like I forget. First off, as we're talking, I'm like, well, there are some acoustic things on there. I'm forgetting, but I've heard the whole album, and that people only heard a couple songs. I'm like, oh yeah. But then the other thing is, yeah, the album hasn't been out yet. You're in the third album. You know what I mean? It's always funny. Like an artist is like, yeah, I'm already. That one's been in the can since like last year. Like the time limit between
yeah,
that is like is so insane. And I do think you
that's
doing
right.
heavier, some heavier, chunkier songs is going to play into because I think some of your big audience is going to be the European like festival crowd. I think that's going to be the first stronghold of your fan base. You know, that
I
dedicated.
really hope so. The label's
That's what I
really
think.
pushing. Thank you. I really do hope that, Sean, because the label's really saying, look, you need to go to Europe, and Australia
Yeah,
to Europe is not a little trip. It's a big trip. It's doable, and it's very exciting. And we are looking for a new drummer at the moment, and we are saying, you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared to travel now. This is
yeah,
the next stage. It's about exposure to the audience that we know will connect, and yeah, playing, performing, and being able to perform songs that are enjoyable to perform rather than you're sweating it because it's quite,
yeah,
it's intricate. You hit one note, you got some delay on, you hear that note for a while, you know what it's
yeah.
like. And so you need to be on point and yeah, being able to enjoy it. And then that filters down to the audience. So yeah, it's very exciting. It's very
It
exciting
is.
stuff.
But I think it's a great. I think it's a great. That's what they want to put you guys because of all the places in the world, that's the best place. And I think America at some point would be good, but you need your core audience, the most loyal metal audience in the world, even for bands over in America, it's Europe. Europe, a lot of the bands going over the '90s, the grunge times. I think you get your core audience, and you do a festival, and there's all types of music, all different types of the day. You can't be heavy all day. You can't be slow all day. You can do a little of everything, so the audience can kind of ebb and flow with you through your set. I mean, you can kind of you could build your set through your albums. This can be a heavier show. We'll do our heavier songs. You can kind of do it whatever,
Yes.
but you're not locked in. By coming out and doing an album like this, it's kind of like when Zeppelin would do like acoustic and then really heavy, and then people didn't know at the time. They're like, "What?" And they're like, "We can do whatever we want because we've already done everything we want." So it just depends on what we're going to do this album. You'll hear it when you hear it. That's kind of a freedom as an artist. You know,
Very much so, very much. I think that's why it's exciting too, because we're doing the launch here in Melbourne on May 10, and we want to have a section where it's all the acoustics, and then
hmm
we'll go into the heavier, and and we'll have an intermission in the middle. It's like a show, and we can do that because we've got the repertoire now, and we're building it up slowly. And with the new album, which I really want to push out. I want to have another album out at the end of next year at the very least because the flow is now happening where
yeah,
we didn't even I don't know how that happened, but we've got pretty much a third album. We've got a couple of songs really to do yet, and then we've got this next album. So it's it's now we're in the zone with that. So yeah, exciting times.
So when you first did like around the time of the first album, you were first doing these songs. Were you actually playing these songs live just as you like just like acoustic, more mellow at first?
Yeah, it was just me. I really wanted a rich acoustic sound. I love a steel string acoustic. That's
Yeah.
for me, that was, and a band called Agalloch. I don't know if you've come across them, but
Oh yeah.
they
Yep.
were very much atmospheric black metal, very
Yeah,
much
that was the
using,
only band I could think of when I saw the title, by the way, that I could compare it to this. I'm like, oh, but I hate comparing, it's not fair. But I was like, it's the only thing I can think of that is so emotionally powerful but similar.
oh, that's a huge
Where's
compliment
what is
because
that album? The wood one is called folk. I forgot what it's
the
called.
mantle,
Yes, that
the
one. That one's like
mantle.
ridiculously good. That's like one of the I think
Oh,
it's the best album.
that's
Yeah,
that's my number one. That's my number one
yeah,
album.
it's a good
And when
album.
I
People check
heard
it out, by the
that,
way. It's a good album. I gotta check it out again.
well,
So
I
good.
found out that I found out that they, by the time I got into Agalop, I realized they disbanded. So I was
Yeah.
heartbroken. I'm like, oh no. But I found out that they've actually gotten back together, and they're even thinking of coming down under. So
Wow.
if they do, I would love to, you know, pitch to support them because they are a massive influence. And we got to support Catatonia a couple of weeks ago, who are a massive influence on
Yep.
Shane, my other bandmate. And yeah, when I heard The Mantle, when I heard that album and I heard the acoustic being used in that way, it just it connected so much that I thought there is space to explore this sound. And
Hmm.
who's really done much with this? Who's progressed this? There hasn't really been that much. There's black gaze artists who are indirectly kind of influenced, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I just wanted to really give a nod to that band because they just, for me, hugely innovative. So huge compliment. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And that's what it was when I first heard. Like, that was this, and I look back, I'm like thinking that's very similar to the same thing I had when I heard them. I'm like, I don't really know what to do with this at first. And I just kind of kept it on my player, and I'd listen to it, and I go back to it. Like I liked it, but I didn't understand it enough, or I didn't feel like because you just don't put it on. You know what I'm saying? You got to be in a space. It's definitely a
Yeah,
mood. You know what I mean? You gotta.
it's a mood.
There are some albums like you're in a car, you like it's an AC/DC or a Sabbath or a Van Halen or something. You know what I'm saying? You got to be in a space that you
100%.
can't. You put it in, you're not in the right mood. You're like, oh, this is not hitting me. But when you're in that space and you're committed to it, you're like, this is brilliant. You know
Yes,
that's
you have to. It's a mood. That's so apt. Yeah, it is 100%. It is emotional. This particular album too was, like quite. I hate it's such an overused tropey thing to say, but it was cathartic. It was going through a lot of grief and going through a lot of frustration and acceptance. And, when people are going through that themselves, they may connect with it uh, on that level. And
yeah,
that would be very profound and amazing because it's got, I mean, music as some service kind of thing. So providing that service for people to be able to find that space to process stuff. If music can do that, that's like the most amazing gift to give, I think, as a musician. And yeah, but it's a vibe.
it is.
you
But
know?
it is like for you as an artist when you're writing these songs, it's important. It's not a cliche thing to say. I think what's cliche is when an artist like they just pushed out an album and they're like, "This is the best album I've ever done." You're like, I can tell by looking at you, you don't even feel it's the best album you've ever done. You don't always have to hit the best album you've done. You just want to be as creative as you can and honest as you can, and hopefully your fans will like it. But if you're starting to try to be like that person creating the album you think your fans want, and then that's when you think it's the best album you've ever done. That's when you come to this world. But when you are sitting there where you're sitting now, and you're like, I can see the look on your face, the emotions. You're like, you're thinking about what you went through. Well, that's pretty honest. That's pretty raw, and it does feel relatable to music. And I think a lot of people are gonna be like, you know what? I'm alone. I'm not going through these emotions. Help me go through the sad part, and then like a rage. Like it just, there's a journey in there, and I think if you're being honest, it's going to translate to other people. You know, and that's where
Totally. I
that's where you're
think
gonna build people. That's your fan base will be a lot more loyal because of that.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's not an easy listening album. I think Luna Falls, a lot of people have told me that they had it in the background. And, one person was saying that they had it playing in their brewery, like in the
Yeah.
background, and
Oh,
the staff loved it. And it definitely it was a lush production. It really allowed for people who are into sort of the darker stuff to put it in the background, and it's soothing. This one is more active. It's definitely an active listen. You can't kind of put it in the background because there are sections that are just going to be
no,
like,
it's like you're in a beautiful lake all of a sudden. Next thing you know, it got dark around you. There's a shark in the water with you. It's very jarring. So,
yeah,
like, so you can't really go, oh, and then you're like, oh, it changes again. It's just, and that would be a lot for some people to be introduced to you in a space that they're not prepared to hear it. It could be unfair
That's
actually
exactly right.
because it would take away, but that's the that's the hit you take of being your own type of music, taking the lead in something that isn't as popular, people might,
Yes,
it might be three, four, 5 albums in, and more
that's
people are like,
right.
oh yeah, I get it now because this album was the commercial hit. You're like, I don't know, it was a song I wrote, and I guess somebody liked it at one point. That was not my intent, but I'll take the payment because money is great when you're a musician. But the point is, if it happens, it happens. But it might take a while.
Exactly.
You know,
Thank you so much.
I'm glad we
Um,
could do this. It was fun, and I want everybody to check out the album. Okay, and hopefully we'll talk
Thank
again.
you so much. Thank you
Okay, bye
so
bye.
much, Sean.
You're
Take
welcome. Bye
care.
bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.